Why did Samuel choose to give a history lesson to Israel in 1 Samuel 12? This is the question we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of 1 Samuel on Walking Through the Bible. Today we're going to be discussing 1 Samuel chapter 12, verses 1 to 12. But before we do that, let's read the passage. If you have a Bible with you, turn to 1 Samuel chapter 12, verse 1. But if you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So 1 Samuel chapter 12, beginning of verse 1. Now Samuel said to all Israel, "Indeed, I have heeded your voice in all that you said to me, and have made a king over you. And now here is the king walking before you. And I am old and gray-headed, and look, my sons are with you. I have walked before you from my childhood to this day. Here I am. Witness against me before the Lord and before his anointed. Whose ox have I taken, or whose donkey have I taken, or whom have I cheated? Whom have I oppressed, or from whose hand have I received any bribe with which to blind my eyes? I will restore it to you." And they said, "You have not cheated us or oppressed us, nor have you taken anything from any man's hand." Then he said to them, "The Lord is witness against you, and his anointed is witness this day, that you have not found anything in my hand." And they answered, "He is witness." Then Samuel said to the people, "It is the Lord who raised up Moses and Aaron, and who brought your fathers up from the land of Egypt. Now therefore, stand still, that I may reason with you before the Lord concerning all the righteous acts of the Lord which he did to you and your fathers. When Jacob had gone into Egypt, and your fathers cried out to the Lord, then the Lord sent Moses and Aaron, who brought your fathers out of Egypt, and made them dwell in this place. And when they forgot the Lord their God, he sold them into the hand of Sisera, commander of the army of Hatzor, into the hand of the Philistines, and into the hand of the king of Moab, and they fought against them. Then they cried out to the Lord and said, "We have sinned, because we have forsaken the Lord and served the Baals and the Ashtoreths. But now deliver us from the hand of our enemies, and we will serve you." And the Lord sent Jerubbaal, Bedan, Jephthah, and Samuel, and delivered you out of the hand of your enemies and on every side, and you dwelt in safety. And when you saw that Nahash, king of the Ammonites, came against you, you said to me, "No, but a king shall reign over us," when the Lord your God was your king. In the last chapter, we had Saul leading an army to save the people of Jabesh Gilead from the hand of Nahash, king of the Ammonites. This was Saul's first time leading Israel into battle as king, and it cemented his role as king among all the people, for there were dissenters to Saul's kingship at that time. In light of this, Samuel gathered the people together at Gilgal, offered sacrifices there, and reconfirmed the kingdom by making Saul king again. Coming to chapter 12, we have Samuel speaking to the people during this service. In it, he is going to give Israel a history lesson, a very similar thing to what Moses did in the book of Deuteronomy. But unlike Moses' retelling of Israel's history, where he wanted to remind the second generation of Israel as to why they were there and how this was a fulfillment of God's promises to them, Samuel's retelling serves a different purpose. Moses' retelling of Israel's history showed God's faithfulness, while Samuel's retelling of Israel's history shows Israel's rejection of God. Samuel begins by telling Israel that he indeed made them a king at their request. But he continues by saying that he is old now. He served them from when he was young. And over that time, did he ever steal from them, cheat them, oppress them, or pervert justice by taking bribes? If he had, he would restore what was taken. But Israel conceded that Samuel had not acted in any way improper towards them. And if that is the case, Samuel is going to lead them on a journey on why did they then ask for a king, for Samuel was the prophet of God, and God was their king. Samuel begins by saying that it was the Lord who raised up Moses and Aaron and led them out of Egypt. It was not a king. It was the Lord. The Lord caused them to dwell in the land of Canaan. But when they forgot that, at different times he sold them into the hand of Sisera, into the hand of the Philistines, and into the hand of the king of Moab. We read all of these stories back in the book of Judges. And yet, just like in Egypt, when Israel called out for deliverance, God sent them judges to lead a now repentant people out of oppression. Some of these judges were Jerubbaal, Gideon, Bedan, which is probably a copyist error meaning Barak, Jephthah, and Samuel. Yes, God sent them other judges, but these are the ones that Samuel chose to mention. These judges brought Israel safely out of oppression and into safety by the hand of the Lord. And yet, when Nahash, king of the Ammonites, rose up to fight them, what did Israel do? Did they call out for deliverance from God, their king? No, they demanded an earthly king to go before them into battle. Nahash's aggression that we read of in 1 Samuel 11 was probably gradual, for the Ammonites had been wanting land back that they claimed Israel stole from them, back in the book of Judges. The battle in Jabesh-Gilead was probably the culmination of this aggression, but it is highly likely that it began building up to that point in time. Thus, seeing Samuel's son's corruption and the threat of Nahash coming, we can now fully understand Israel's motives in asking for a king. Yet, in spite of all this, Israel could have cried out to God for deliverance, and he would have heard. He did in the days of Barak, Gideon, Jephthah, and Samuel. Why then would this be any different? The point Samuel is making is that in asking for a king, they were rejecting the God who had delivered them from their enemies for the past 400 years. Samuel will continue with this, the Lord willing, in the next lesson. With that, our time is up for today. The Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of 1 Samuel chapter 12, verses 13 to 25, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time.
Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.